Welcome back to my Oklahoma Sooners Death Penalty Dynasty, and today we will be doing the next offseason preparing for Season 8 of this dynasty. If you somehow missed it, I suggest you go back and watch at least the end of the last two games, but we have now won back-to-back championships and we are headed from the Big 12 to the SEC. Before we go look at individual awards and stats and things like that, we do have to do one thing first, and that is update our record book. The first one being Ty Downing threw for more touchdown passes than anyone in a single college career, and he beat the record by 25. And Dwight Rollins, our starting defensive end, set the record for most sacks in a single season with 29 of them. And Ty Downing breaks his own record for individual season QBR. And now it looks like we are moving on to school records, where quarterback Ty Downing did break Landry Jones' record by about 2,000 yards for most passing yards in a single career. He also broke Sam Bradford's record for most passing touchdowns in a single season with 56. And obviously, since he broke the record for most passing touchdowns in a single career, he also set the school record. And Eugene Washington breaks his own record, which he set last season, getting 18 receiving touchdowns. If you remember, he then lost 2 points in training results, but he came back this year and scored 19 touchdowns. And Wayne Outlaw set the record for most receiving touchdowns in a single career, getting 48, breaking Ryan Broyles' record of 45. And star running back Chris McKinney, who already has back-to-back Heismans, has now already beaten the rushing yards in a career record and still has one more year at least to play. And once again, Dwight Rollins set the NCAA record for this, so he definitely broke the school record, which he also set last season. And he has also set the record for most sacks in a single career, and he still has at least one more season to play. But that seems to be the end of all of the records finally, so now we can jump into season stats and awards. And here we can compare all of Ty Downing's stats as his career went on here. Obviously, it looks like he got better every year. He did throw more interceptions than usual this season, but also threw 56 touchdowns. And it is kind of funny to see this. His freshman season, he had 1,200 yards and 18 touchdowns on the ground, and that just slowly got lower because we got Chris McKinney and didn't have to run the ball with him near as much. And here, star running back Chris McKinney finishes his second straight season with over 2,000 yards and got 26 touchdowns. He also missed a handful of games this year, if you remember, and still managed to come in and put up these numbers and win the Heisman. Receiving wise, it looks like he kind of took a step back, but not really what we use him for. And looking at all the other rushing stats, you see Ty Downing, you see Lance Mullins, who ended up with 7 touchdowns, and Jeff Lane, a true freshman running back, got 1 touchdown this year. And receiving, it looks like we had 3 receivers go over 1,000 yards this year. Eugene Washington with 1,200 yards and 19 touchdowns. Wayne Outlaw got 12 touchdowns. And Jeff Benson finished with 9. And then true freshman Thomas Patterson, 26 catches, 340 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And leading the team in tackles this season was David Jordan, who is a true sophomore at middle linebacker. Who led the team in tackles for loss? That's going to be Dwight Rollins. And in sacks, also Dwight Rollins. But Ryan Covington did end up with 10, and he actually missed a handful of games there at the end of the season. Leading the team in interceptions is going to be Eugene Blake and Alex Red, who both got 4. Adam Jackson ended up with 2. Eric Kemp got 2. And then Tremblay, Alexander, and David Jordan all got 1. And I said last year that I needed to kick a little bit more field goals, and I actually ended up doing less field goals than I have. Jermaine Allen's entire career only kicked 9 this year. And this season, Jeff Benson did not have a single kick return for a touchdown, but he did have 4 punt return for a touchdowns, and Wayne Outlaw also had 1. And now for stats around the country, Ty Downing does finish with the best QBR. Obviously, he broke the record. He finishes with the most yards in the country by about 600, and easily the most touchdowns. Second place was 38, Brandon Britt from Virginia Tech. But did we also lead the country in interceptions? No, we did not. We tied for second. Scott Sellers at ECU led the nation in picks. And now for rushing stats, it looks like JJ Newberry, a running back at Mid-Tennessee State, leads the nation in attempts with 326, but only got 1,300 yards. What about rushing yards? That goes to Chris McKinney with 2,051, but Jerry Richardson not far behind him. What about touchdowns? That also goes to McKinney. Anything else here? Yards per game actually goes to Jamie Means from Northern Illinois. And most receptions goes to Matt Stanley, who caught 105 passes, and William Denman caught 102. Yards also goes to Stanley. Eugene Washington finishes 4th there. And in touchdowns, it also goes to Stanley. So I'm pretty sure this guy's going to win the Biletnikoff. And an outside linebacker from Wisconsin, and Jamal Brown, leads the nation in tackles with 123 this year. Tackles for loss is going to go to Dwight Rollins, and sacks should easily go to Dwight Rollins. Second place only had 12.5. What about interceptions? That goes to Jason Pace, a corner at USC. And not really much of a shock when you have 4 punt returns for touchdowns, but Jeff Benson does lead the nation in that stat. And before we get into the other awards, let's go over the All-American list. Obviously, Ty Downing and Chris McKinney make it. Did anyone else make it on our team? Dwight Rollins with 29 sacks, obviously going to make it. Ryan Covington got there. Scott Thomas also got it. David Jordan is the middle linebacker for it. Eugene Blake made it. And Jason Tremblay made it. And obviously, Jeff Benson is the returner. Now, on All-American second team, it looks like we also got Lane Washington here. Anyone else? It looks like Hassan Nugent made it as a true freshman. That's pretty good, obviously. And then scroll farther down, we get Alex Red and Eric Kemp. So our entire starting secondary made it on first and second team. And for the All-American freshman list, we have a few people on here. It looks like our starting left guard CJ Clark made it, and then also our starting right tackle Andrew Harrell and Hassan Nugent all made it. And for the All Big 12, we obviously have a lot of people here. Ty Downing, Chris McKinney, Lane Washington, Wayne Outlaw, Marlon Ellis, Josh Higgins, CJ Clark, Steve Thomas. Our right tackle did not make it. Our left end, Dwight Rollins obviously did. Hassan Nugent did. Ryan Covington, Scott Thomas. Our entire D-line, David Jordan. And then an outside linebacker from BYU. And Jake Wright made it at right outside linebacker. Eugene Blake made it at corner. Alex Red made it at corner. Eric Kemp and Jason Tremblay made it at safety. So we completely and totally dominate these awards. How is Jeff Benson not the returner? Well, let's see if Benson made returner over here. He made second team wide receiver, and Thomas Patterson made second team tight end. Harrell makes it at right tackle. Chris Rowland, a backup defensive tackle, made All Big 12 second team. Adam Jackson, our backup corner, makes it. And Brian Alexander, our punter, makes it. And yeah, I guess because he made All Big 12 second team, I guess they didn't make him the returner. And now for the award winners. The Maxwell Award goes to Ty Downing. The Walter Camp Award goes to Ty Downing. The Bednarik Award goes to Dwight Rollins, followed by David Jordan. The Nagurski Award goes to Dwight Rollins. The O'Brien Award goes to Ty Downing. We are cleaning up here. The Walker Award goes to Lance Johnson, a running back at North Carolina. The Bolitnikoff goes to the wide receiver at Virginia Tech that led the nation in every single receiver category. The Mackey Award goes to Avery Cox. The Outland Award goes to a lineman at Michigan. The Remington goes to a lineman at Florida. The Lombardi goes to Dwight Rollins. The Butkus Award goes to David Jordan. The Thorpe Award goes to Patrick Whitaker. The Groza Award goes to the kicker for Alabama. The Guy Award goes to the punter for Clemson. And the Jet Award obviously goes to Jeff Benson. But here is all the bowl results here for Season 7. I will just scroll through these. Anything that I want to talk about, I will. USC winning theirs 42-21. And I will also be moving USC and UCLA over to the Big Ten whenever I move us to the SEC. It looks like Texas won their bowl game 42-24. What else do we have here? Kansas State won theirs. Texas Tech won theirs. All right, well, that's not great. We're moving to the SEC. We shut out Texas Tech, and we'll obviously have Ole Miss in the SEC with us. Penn State won their bowl game. Oklahoma State lost theirs to Stanford. How did they get matched up with number 8 Stanford? That is insane. It looks like LSU won their bowl game. That's good for us, considering we're going to the SEC, as I've said multiple times now. Alabama won theirs over Nebraska. And obviously, we won our Fiesta Bowl over North Carolina and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. And then down here, obviously, the National Championship. Even though it says we lost it, we definitely didn't. I don't know why it's showing that, but either way, let's move on. And this team has come a long way. Our first season that we played was the 2014 season. Obviously did not win a game. 2015 we won 2. 2016 we won 1. And this is where Ty Downing showed up, where we go 9-4. Here we went to the playoffs just to lose, I believe, in the first round of Florida State, and now back-to-back national champions. And now you can see at the bottom of the screen that we have 19 offensive coordinator points to use and 17 defensive coordinator points to use, which means both of our coordinators left for new jobs. And honestly, I kind of expected to lose Mel Tucker to a new job. I think we only had him for a season, maybe 2, but he came in, was a fully leveled up defensive coordinator. He really helped us out, but he is left for a new job. And our new coordinators are Joe Sloan on offense, and new defensive coordinator is Rob Harley. And Matt Wells, our former offensive coordinator, has apparently taken the job at Pitt, where Sloan was fired from. So Wells takes that job, Sloan comes to Oklahoma, it's all good. And then Mel Tucker is headed to Colorado. In case you were wondering where Lincoln Riley went after Oklahoma in this universe, it was not to USC. He actually took the job at Vanderbilt and has since gone 5-7, 4-8, 9-4, 3-9, 5-7, and 5-6. But now we have a chance to play them. So obviously I will be looking forward to that game if we get to actually play Vanderbilt this season, but now we get to look at players leaving. The first player that's leaving that we're going to take a look at here is wide receiver Wayne Outlaw, who is leaving with the most receiving touchdowns in a single career at Oklahoma with 48. He finishes with 200 total receptions, 4,400 yards, and 48 touchdowns. And we will also be losing wide receiver Jeff Benson, who finishes with 167 receptions, 3,900 yards, and 29 touchdowns, and back-to-back winner of the Jet Award. And then the final piece of that trio is wide receiver Joey Miller, who finishes with 86 catches, almost 1,600 yards, and 15 total touchdowns. And as you can see here, these three guys will be heading to the NFL draft and are projected to get drafted. Past that, I kind of look at these guys like undrafted free agents. Some of them are probably good enough to get a shot in the league. Marlon Ellis is an 80 overall. Jake Wright is a huge loss as an 80 overall outside linebacker. And then also Eric Kemp, an 81 overall free safety. That is another big loss for this defense. Ty Downing finishes his career at Oklahoma with 18,000 yards and 180 touchdowns. Did throw 60 interceptions, but most of those were my fault. And then running the ball, he ran for nearly 3,700 yards and another 55 touchdowns. And quarterback Ty Downing will be projected to go in the first round of the draft. These will be the first 4 players that are actually projected to get drafted for us. And there was one more player that could have gone to the draft but elected to come back, and that is defensive back Alex Red. And here are the official draft results, and apparently Jake Wright did not go undrafted. He actually got picked in the 7th round. Jeff Benson goes in the 7th round, Joey Miller goes in the 6th, Wayne Outlaw goes in the 2nd, and Ty Downing is officially a first round draft pick. And we do actually have one transfer request this season. A middle linebacker for Michigan wants to transfer to us. So you lose to us in the national championship and now you want to come play for us. Well, I will definitely take you. And now we're at the recruiting stage, and here I can show you guys some of the recruits that we actually have already landed, like the number 2 athlete in the country, the number 6 athlete in the country, the number 1 free safety in Dwayne Jones, the number 3 defensive end, the number 2 outside linebacker, the number 7 corner who was an 80 overall already, another athlete who was a 78 overall, wide receiver Preston Gray is a 4-star, only 69 overall, defensive end who was the number 26 in the country, but I believe this guy was a gem. Yeah, he's plus 7 overall. And then we have defensive tackle Jermaine Rice, who's a 73, outside linebacker Adrian McCullum, who was a 75. Once again, he was not a gem. I thought he was going to be, but he is only a plus 4. And then a few 60 overall guys, and then one more athlete in Grant McConnell, who's a 75 overall JUCO. And then we have running back Victor Alexander, another JUCO, but he comes in with 96 speed. And we do only have 7 scholarships left for this season, but here are the 3 that I'm going to go for. These are the 3 main ones that I want. Tackle Joey Rutledge, wide receiver John Mangum, who is a 78 overall. He's only a 3-star, but that's because he's a plus 10 overall gem. I really want this kid. And then strong safety Walter Siegel. And we actually land all 3 of them. We get Rutledge, Mangum, and Siegel to join our team. Obviously, we lose out on a few other people, but I am perfectly fine with our recruiting class. And this is why I am perfectly fine with our recruiting class. We end up as the number 2 class, only down to Michigan, who seems to have just beat us out by getting one more 3-star. And apparently all of the athletes I managed to pick up all want to play offense. 3 of the 4 want to play quarterback. Townsend here is a 78 overall quarterback. Wheatley is a 78 overall quarterback. Carrington is a 40 overall quarterback. He wants to play running back or wide receiver. And then McConnell here can play quarterback or wide receiver. So obviously I have a couple decisions to make here, but I will tell you guys that our quarterback depth chart does not look that good. McRae doesn't really fit my style should Sean Griffin get hurt, and Gardner isn't really good at all. He's a 53 overall. So what we're actually going to do is take Townsend and Wheatley and make them both quarterbacks. You're only 5'10". I think we're going to put you... Let's go see. Do we have more running backs or wide receivers on this team? We have a ton of running backs right now. Okay. What about wide receiver? We obviously have a ton of those as well. I don't know. Apparently, I've been heavily scouting some of those, but we'll go ahead and move you to wide receiver for now. And then Grant McConnell, who is 75 overall. I could put you at wide receiver as well, but I think we're actually going to make you a quarterback if you have decent throwing stats. He is a junior. He's probably not going to be on the team very long. 79 throw power. All right, not really what we're looking for. So you are also going to go play wide receiver, and we will apparently just have like 12 receivers on this team. But now it is time for my favorite part of the offseason, training results. Let's see how much better or worse everyone got. Well, not starting off great for quarterback Sean Griffin, who loses 5 overall points and 2 speed points. He loses 9 awareness. Maybe that's the reason he lost so much. what the hell happened in our quarterback room? Is it because like my offensive coordinator left? Can that like affect it? 81 throw power, 83 accuracy. Oh man, we may have a decision to make at quarterback, guys. At running back, it looks like most of them got a little bit better. Chris McKinney only got +1, but backup running back John Jordan, he was the #1 running back in his class, and I redshirted him last year. He will most likely be our backup running back. He gets +8 to his overall. Let's see what he got here. He got +3 to awareness, 11 to break tackle, 8 to elusiveness. Okay, this guy is going to be an absolute monster for us. Our fullback, Bobby Garcia, who was a walk-on, got +6 to his overall, so I guess that's good. We don't really use a fullback, though. And there we go for wide receiver Lane Washington. He lost 2 overall points in the last offseason. This year, he comes back, gets 19 touchdowns as opposed to 18 the year he actually lost attributes. He gets +9 to his overall, 1 to speed, 3 to acceleration. Let's see, did he actually get anything that can help him be a receiver besides that speed? +11 to catching, 4 to spectacular catch, 9 to catch in traffic, 7 to route running, 5 to jumping. Okay, so Lane Washington is set for a pretty good season, and obviously we lost some other receivers, so guys like Rich Anderson, William Brown, who was redshirted last year, will have to step up, and Anthony Hollis. And I hate to see this. Thomas Patterson, the 6'8" tight end out of Lawton, Oklahoma, which happens to be my hometown, drops 2 overall points. I didn't use him a whole lot, but I was hoping his 5 touchdowns would be enough to kind of give him a boost, but I guess not. Well, one thing I didn't want to see is that our left tackle is only a 61 overall, left guard will be an 82 overall, but we have a backup guard of an 80, center is an 84 overall, right guard's a 74, and right tackle's a 77. Now, don't be too concerned about this yet, because Rutledge, I believe, was an 80 overall tackle, so he might just start as a true freshman. And Dwight Rollins gets +3 to his overall after 29 sacks. I think that should probably be a little bit more, but Hassan Nugent also gets +3. Let's see, Ashton Mills got +5 this year. All right, that's pretty good for him. Defensive tackle Ryan Covington got +3. Scott Thomas doesn't get any better. Mike Watkins, whoever that is, got +6 to his overall. And now left outside linebacker Justin Rogers gets +7 to his overall. He goes to an 85. Let's see what middle linebacker does. David Jordan gets +4 to go to an 82. And right outside linebacker Nate Thompson will be a 77 overall. So most likely, I believe the defenses that I run, most of the time the left outside linebacker doesn't really play. Yeah, because he has no stats recorded in the last couple years. Rogers will probably move over and play right outside linebacker. And now for corner, we have at least one guy getting a big boost. Adam Jackson, he's coming off his true freshman season, gets +6 to his overall. Alex Red will be an 89 overall now. We have some fast corners, which is what I like to have. Now 99 awareness for Red and Blake here. Let's see if their man coverage or zone coverage got any better. And where is it? Is it all the way back here? Really? And it looks like Alex Red is now a 99 in man coverage. Adam Jackson's now a 90. Eugene Blake is an 85. George Steele is now a 93. I really thought you left after this season. And our zone coverage looks good as well. And at free safety, Brian Alexander gets +2 to go to a 93 overall. Justin Jordan loses 3 overall points. Hopefully he never has to step on the field. And at strong safety, Jason Tremblay doesn't get any better. And Clint Reynolds comes in as a 74 overall now. We may be looking to not start Tremblay again, depending how good some of these true freshmen are. And Jermaine Allen, our kicker, actually loses 2 overall points. Is it because I only kicked the ball like 9 times? He went 8 for 9. He lost 11 awareness. Is that really all he lost? If that's all he lost, I really don't care. He lost 1 to kick power and 2 to kick accuracy. What about our punter? Jim Kelly got +4. He got +11 to awareness. Maybe he took his awareness. 88 kick power now and 82 kick accuracy. Well, that is how much the team changed this year. I am really happy for Lane Washington. I was really disappointed when he lost those overall points, but now coming back with +9. And sadly this season I do have to cut some players. We are 7 players over the roster limit. The first guy getting cut is quarterback Carlos Gardner. You were never going to see the field, so just get off the team. The next guy that's going to get cut is going to be Will Spencer, a defensive end. He's just buried on the depth chart and he'll probably never see the field here. We are also going to cut free safety Justin Jordan just because he's a 50 overall. I believe he might have been a walk-on. Okay, never mind. I actually can't cut him. I am also going to come back to quarterback here and cut quarterback Josh McCray. So both of those guys will probably get a little bit of playing time. I don't think I'm going to redshirt either one of these guys. And with the current talent we have in this running back room, I don't see Jeff Lane getting a lot of playing time, so we're also going to release him. I'm not usually a big fan of cutting people that are true freshmen, but we have way too many receivers on this team. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cut Richard Fuqua because I don't even remember recruiting you. The next player getting cut is defensive back Donnell May. We just have a ton of depth here. We have a lot of good corners, but he's a senior, 78 overall, probably not going to see the field that much, so we're going to go ahead and cut him as well. And the final player we're going to cut is strong safety Dante Mack. He's only a 56 overall as a redshirt freshman. He is not going to make the team. And now time for the big move. We will be jumping from the Big 12 to the SEC. And here is what the new Big 12 looks like. Obviously, the only difference here is I moved Oklahoma State over to the south side of the Big 12, and Oklahoma and Texas have moved to the SEC. And here is how the SEC will look for this season. Obviously, it looks like the East is pretty stacked right now with Alabama, Auburn, Florida, and Georgia. And then over here on this side, there's just 2 ranked teams with us and Arkansas. I also changed around the Big 10, and obviously the big additions here are over to the west side. I added USC and UCLA. And then the Pac-12 is kind of a mess. I didn't really sort these, so if this looks wrong to be north and south, I do apologize. But San Diego State and Fresno State have been added to the Pac-12. That way they still have a conference championship game. But that officially wraps up the Season 8 off-season, and we are ready to take on Season 8. Obviously, though, the next video will be the Season 8 preview, and we may get to see where some of those guys that got drafted ended up going. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys next time.